All right, our audio is working. Our audio is working this time.
Audio is working this time.
God, we
All
just
right.
recorded like a
The best intro
recorded like a
of
2-minute
our
intro.
lives. Okay, I'm so angry that you guys don't get to hear it. So we're going to do the best we can to try and recreate it here. Let's recap really quick. We did a double feature last week. We're doing a double feature this week, okay? So first of all, we're just coming out hot after the break, okay? We're trying to get caught back up. We're doing really great. Brett's barely holding it together. He brought 2 coffees last week, 2 coffees this week. But on top of that, Brett had the ultimate move today showing up to the theater. Dude comes strapped with a full backpack. And I'm watching him come into the theater. I'm like, dude, what is that? And he goes, dude, I'm strapped. I got all kinds of food. He brought 2 PB&J sandwiches, a bag of bananas, a freaking coffee. Like, he came so prepped. I got movie theater snacks, and Brett was like, I don't need any of that. I brought a meal to this movie theater. Just stacked. Oh,
Listen,
and preview, we're doing a double feature next week too, okay? So, like, that sums up what would have been the awesome intro that we had before that Discord absolutely just derailed because we're broke and we can't do anything better than this. You stink.
we're so broke. But I mean, I love the movies. I love going to the movies. I appreciate the movies. And I think more people need to go to the movies. But the meals and the popcorn and everything is just too expensive.
It's way
Not
too
only
expensive.
that, it makes me feel like absolute. It makes me feel like absolute.
It makes you feel awful.
I just feel terrible. So
the food's not good.
But you love it.
Okay, listen,
I mean,
I didn't say it doesn't make me feel awful, okay? It does. And, like, I've got my own issues with food and whatever. We're not going to get into that. But I'm sorry, there's just something about having a bag of candy at the movie theater that I'm like, this is just, like, makes you feel like you're a kid again. You're going to see an awesome movie, you got a bag of candy and some popcorn. Or our theater does, like, the pizzas, and they gave me this ridiculously huge box for the exact same size pizza I always get
they
today.
do look
so
good.
like, it was
They do look good.
and they do taste good. They make you feel like crap, but they taste good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good.
But I needed those PB&Js, and I also need the bananas because I need energy. Because, I mean, we'll talk about the first movie we watched was The Conjuring. Thank God. I mean, I think we have our rhythm for the early. We go to the earliest showing for the horror movies because then I'm like, okay, it's light outside. I'm not gonna get scared But we watched The Conjuring first. But the first movie I told Gavin that we have to review is The Roses with Benedict Cumberbatch. And
spoiler,
oh my God, it was the most
underrated movie of the year.
Yes.
Underrated movie of the year.
It's
seeing the trailers, seeing what this movie was going to be about. It has a good cast. Don't get me wrong. Benedict Cumberbatch, Olivia Colman, Kate McKinnon, Andy Samberg. Good actors, certainly. Benedict Cumberbatch, we can even call him a great actor. But nobody that I looked at and went, oh, by far and away, a standout movie that's just going to absolutely blow my mind. Leaving that theater, we both were still laughing about some of the jokes that they had in that movie.
Oh my God.
There are so many. We're just going to get into it because it was such a good movie. The number one thing that we both commented first on, and I'll let you take this to start, Brett, but the flow of the story. It started and it never stopped the entire time. It just kept progressing at such a good pace. No lulls, no nothing the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I hate when movies like this, especially comedies, is it's kind of all over the place. But this movie just strictly focuses on the relationship of Benedict Cumberbatch's character and Olivia Colman's character, and that's what I love the most. They're both great actors and actresses, so it's like you already know they're gonna give you a great performance, and this movie gave you everything. And I've talked about it before. I love a movie that gives me everything. It makes me laugh. It makes me emotional. It makes me cry. Or it makes me angry. And this movie gave me it all. I mean, the flow of everything, it just never stops. You're always interested. It kind of throws curveballs at you. You're 1 minute you're laughing so hard, and then the next, Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman are having the most emotional scene together, and it's like really relatable. And if anybody's gone through a breakup or anything, you're immediately just kind of touched, and you're like, wow, what the heck? I was just laughing a second ago, but now I'm like on the verge of tears. It was a great performance by both of these people. And I've been asking for movies like this where you just take, a subject and you focus on it, and then you just build and build and build on the story. And I thought this movie had everything. It was so good. We loved the dark humor of it. It was so funny. Andy Samberg had us dying laughing. It was great. Andy Samberg is sometimes he's like hit or miss, but I thought he hit most of the time, and I was just drinking a coffee because I had to lock in.
Were some of my favorite one-liners. I mean, there's a great scene where he's standing with Benedict Cumberbatch, and they're talking about it's right after his building is kind of concaved in on itself, and he's just standing there, and he's like, yeah, it's just kind of like, when everything is sad and nothing goes right and your whole life is miserable and then you just die. And Benedict Cumberbatch sort of just like turns to him and it just concerningly
he's like,
looks
are you
at him,
okay?
and he's like, are you okay? And he goes, no, I heard that on a podcast. No, that's not me. And me and Brett both looked at each other and we were like, that's us. Like,
the thing is we do that dry humor together. So I think it hit us like very hard. We were just dying laughing, and everyone else was kind of softly laughing at the joke. But he just had a lot of one-liners that I love so much. But the movie kind of captures you, and you instantly kind of know what's going on. The parental like shift that both Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman's like character having, when it happens in the beginning of the movie, I'm kind of like, okay, like this is going to be interesting. And it was very entertaining to watch. And I kept on thinking of like, what's going to happen next. And obviously there's like those dumb comedic moments, and comedies have been kind of on a downward trend. Like at least on The Naked Gun was really good. People love that movie. It brought back comedies a little bit. But this one, it was a good story. It was funny. It was emotional. And I love the character development and how it progressed. And the flow of the story was really, I think, kind of the biggest positive, I would say, of the movie. You're never bored, and you're always thinking like of what's going to happen next. And they flow from one thing to the next very well.
And I liked seeing the progression of their relationship throughout this story. So much of this story is built on, they kind of met in a really abstract way. Benedict Cumberbatch was upset by the fact that his architecture was not being appreciated in the UK. And Olivia Colman was upset by the fact that her cooking was not being appreciated in the UK. And she had decided to run off to America. And Benedict Cumberbatch goes back into the kitchen to basically blow off steam because everybody at his firm is celebrating this building getting built with all of his unique attachments to it being taken out. And they go back there and they have this nice little bonding moment, and they go hook up in the cool room in the freezer, and they decide to go move to America together. And then they're both kind of successful. They're both pursuing their dreams. There's challenges and stuff along the way, but you can see them building up a good and a happy and a healthy relationship. And then as the challenges start to come, his building concaves. He becomes the laughing stock of everything. She, on the flip, gets all this success and accolade and starts becoming the breadwinner for the household, and everything sort of changes, seeing that dynamic. And then, instead of seeing him wallow in his defeat completely, watching him become a really determined parent and seeing how some of his own failures being projected onto how much he wants his kids to succeed, as well as her actually succeeding and feeling a bit pulled away from her kids because of her success, and seeing all of that weigh on their relationship as so many miscommunications and almost communications. I mean, one of my favorite scenes in the movie She goes up to the bathroom door after this huge blowdown knockout fight at a dinner scene that we will discuss later because, oh my gosh, it was so good.
Oh my God. It's so funny. It was the best scene of the show.
It might be the best
of the
scene
movie.
in the entire movie.
There was a couple really good scenes, but that one stuck out where we
Easy.
were both just dying laughing. Like
the
everything
whole
was
time.
hitting.
Dude,
so
I
good.
can't. It's so good. But she goes up to the bathroom door and she has this honest moment where he's accused her of not being able to say that she's sorry, not able to be vulnerable with him. And she goes up to the bathroom door and sincerely says, "I'm so sorry. I'm just so filled with sadness now that the kids are gone. I think I just want you to hug me and be here with me." But he doesn't hear her because he's got his headphones on. And then he gets up the next morning and he goes and he has this really spiritual experience saving a whale that's been beached, and everything just...
Which was just so random but wild, but it made sense somehow. I was like, okay.
The most crazy, like, nonsensical, like, interjection to the story that somehow also flowed perfectly in the story. And it all kind of leads to this implosion at the end that we'll get to later because it's too early to be talking about it now. But that relationship dynamic for them and the way that their kids view it, you know, when they figure out that they're getting a divorce, the phone call with them where their kids go, "Oh, thank goodness, we've been waiting for you guys to get divorced for 10 years. Thank God it's finally happening."
I was like, oh my God.
And I was like, oh, all right, well, that would be a crappy thing to hear from your kids. Like, oh.
So straightforward.
Right.
I kind of laughed. It was so sad, but I just chuckled. I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, they were
just shocked
straight
afterwards.
up about it. And
It
they
was
were
pretty
like,
funny.
"All right, love you, bye," and just hung up. And I was like, oh, all right. But I think that relationship dynamic and being able to see those layers and those sorts of things like that in the story is where it really shines, because the humor's really great, the tension's really great, but getting all of those little details right in it and really focusing on that portion of the story is where the storytelling really excels, as well as putting it all into a flow that doesn't have to see you sit and stop and wait in these slow and quiet moments for you to be able to get this information. Everything keeps moving, but you still get all of these little bits and pieces of information all along the way.
And I think it also, even though it's very comedic, and I would say 75% of this is comedic, and then 25% of it is just great character development and great acting. One of my favorite scenes was Olivia Colman, and they're coming off like the worst vacation in New York ever. I mean, they both just... Benedict Cumberbatch's character just gets drunk. He gets hammered, wastes the first day. Then she has, a cooking thing to do. She has the best time ever. She takes like 5 shots, and then she gets hammered and then wastes the second day. And they basically wasted a weekend and a trip to New York together. And they're flying back together. The tension is high. You can tell just by they're both reading their book, just ignoring each other. And then Benedict Cumberbatch's character is just an absolute egomaniac. But Olivia Colman has such a great acting scene where she just goes into the bathroom, goes into the stall, and then looks into the mirror and just like is basically on the verge of tears and wipes like the tears away and goes, "Just apologize. Like, what are we doing?" And there's multiple times where her character is just trying to apologize to Benedict Cumberbatch, but like that's why establishing their characters and one's egotistical and, loves to be successful and kind of only is selfish and cares about him. The other is empathetic and does want to be like the best mother she can, but at the same time, her like success has strayed her away from being a part of her family. And in that moment, you can just see how much it's weighing on her, and her just trying to be open and apologizing, and then Benedict Cumberbatch's character just walking away. I love that because it already makes me believe in the relationship and makes me care about it. But having those good moments and making it more serious and comedic, it just makes you care about the movie a little bit more. If it's all comedic and it's just throwing a ton of jokes in your face, then you're kind of like, I don't care about these characters. Who gives an absolute F if she ignores him or he ignores her? but the fact that they make you do care, and the fact that they make it serious, and that these things actually happen to real relationships. And I thought it was very realistic. Obviously, you know, there's some parts that are just over exaggerated, but I think that's what made me buy into this movie. And I walk out of the theater, I'm like, dude, that was such a great time, Gavin. Like, oh my God. And not only that, it was funny. It's just a good time at the movies. And when it comes out on streaming, I think people are going to watch this movie and be like, I should have saw that in theaters. Or they're going to be pleasantly surprised. And a lot of people, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, whatever streaming service picks this up, it's going to be a top 10 movie, I think, on their streaming service. And another thing that was funny that you loved was the kids. The kids were hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
It was so
dude,
funny.
So Benedict, as part of his like character's theory of trying not to be a jerk, is that instead of focusing on his career, is that he's going to focus on these kids. But he's like a health nut, a fitness nut. And so his kids, because his wife has been the stay-at-home parent for the longest time, has been pumping him full of sugar and desserts and all this other stuff. And so he goes, nope, Dad's here. And he literally comes in the kitchen and pulls out their bowls of like sugary cereal and is like, no, we're going on a run. And he starts out by taking them on a run. But as you fast forward, I mean, these kids are like doing like clap push-ups in the yard, and they've got like trophies and accolades.
Just
and
the most random workouts ever.
And they're always doing them. And it's the funniest thing because like their character development, while the marriage is still good, is really good. And after that, they're basically just these crazed health nuts that get accepted to Miami at 13 years old on sports scholarships because they're so crazy in shape. But they were so funny. And the phone call about the divorce might be one of my favorite scenes just because of how callous they were about it. Like, it's so funny. They're so good. I mean, even when they leave leave them to go to college, his daughter calls and is like, hey, Dad, could you just go over the nutrition thing with me again? And he's like, well, you know, you're going to want to think about it like a Vegas buffet, but for vegetables, okay? So you get all your rabbit food first, all right?
Oh, my God.
And then you can do your carbs, and then you can do your proteins. And I'm like, it's the funniest thing, but it also shows you, like, how he took time to bond with the kids the way that he knows how to bond with the kids. And like, so it's not only a great character development for him, but it's also a really hilarious like relationship dynamic because they're 13 and like they're freaking running like 20 miles a day and like got accepted into college based on fitness. It's so good.
Benedict Cumberbatch probably ran like 6 miles making this movie. It was cracking me up. He was doing sprints. And at one point he sprinted. And I was like, damn. I was like, okay. Benedict Cumberbatch kind of an athlete. But that was cracking me up as well. Just the fact that he has
no need to be in shape for Doctor Strange's next appearance. Okay. He's good. This movie did it for him.
Ran like 8 miles. Oh my God.
He's, I mean, there was a scene where he comes back from rescuing the whale and he's in his running shorts and like a pullover. And I was like, oh my gosh, why are his calves like gigantic, dude? Like, oh my gosh, Benedict Cumberbatch is like in insane shape for a movie that's basically a rom-com about a failing marriage. Like, this is kind of insane.
Yeah. And then another thing that I thought was pretty funny is if you've seen The Bear, Olivia Colman plays a great chef in The Bear, and then she plays a great chef in this one. So I thought it was kind of perfect for her. I haven't seen what she's done in between The Bear and this, but the fact that she was a great chef, I thought worked so well for her. And then seeing her character development was really cool because I thought it was awesome that her business like started thriving, but the way they kind of dug at each other and had these slight digs at each person, like the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch's character, I mean, this is kind of a spoiler, but it's at the beginning of the movie, is when his building collapses and then the videos are coming out and he's just staring at them and he's just having dark humor about it. I thought that was pretty funny. It was pretty dope. And then, oh God, it sounds like such a twat. But no, Olivia Colman's character was, I thought, her progression in the story with her getting famous and then her having like nine restaurants and then giving Benedict Cumberbatch's character Theo this project to make this crazy, by the way, the most beautiful house I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh my God, that thing was that was crazy. And AI, everything about it. But I love how much they put each character in a situation where you knew that it was going to impact their relationship in the end. And you could like slowly see it unfold. And the house being the biggest thing was a great part of like the third act. And it set up for a lot of great comedy. I mean, the dinner scene was great. And then even when they're getting divorced and everything like that, and then they're sabotaging each other towards the end, it was all great. I thought it was awesome.
But the actual best scene in the movie, the best scene in the movie is the dinner. The house is finally made.
Oh my God.
He is showing it off for the first time. He invites Zoe Chow or Sally and Jamie Demetrio or Rory, Barry, Amy, or Andy Samberg and Kate McKinnon over to the house to kind of show this off. And so all of them are there, and Olivia Colman is already just ticked because they've been going at it. She is feeling left out because the kids have gone off to college. She's sad. They've been in lots of arguments, and she is having a Negroni, and she is 4 deep by the time that guests show up. So she's already pretty wasted. And they are going on and on and on about how beautiful the house is. It's a masterpiece. It's wonderful. All this other stuff. And it's basically a battle of egos at separate heads of
Just
the table.
Side.
And it's, oh my gosh, it's the funniest thing because it starts out with them taking little jabs at each other. You know, there's a little shot that goes with the fish that she's serving. And she goes, you know, it's just a little bitterness to add to the food. And Benedict's character goes, yeah, you know, Ivy likes to leave a little bit of herself in everything that she does.
Oh my
And then
God.
Ivy turns around and goes, yeah, well, you know, sometimes you just can't tell, like when my husband's inside of me. And you just like,
Oh my.
and they just keep ramping it up. But then the better part of the scene is when Sally, the real estate friend of Theo, goes, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I want to take part in this. And I'm not going to repeat any of the
she
things
says
that
so
she
many
says,
vulgar
but she
things
says
to where
so many vulgar
it's so
things.
funny though.
And
She goes, I like what you guys are doing here. Let's do
right.
it.
And so she does it
And then
with
she
Rory.
just is talking to Rory, and it just
eviscerates him
putting
at the
this
table.
man to the ground.
Just eviscerates him at the
And he
table.
does it terribly.
And then he just
Oh
turns
my
around
God.
trying to play along, but he's clearly way too nice of a guy to be in this conversation. And he goes, whore, I think. Did I do it right? And it's so funny. They're so uncomfortable. And as this is going on, Barry and Amy are just getting so much more uncomfortable. And as the rage picks up and the heat and the tension picks up in the room, Kate McKinnon's character just goes, I'm an empath. And so right now at this table, I'm really uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
And it just ends.
Kate McKinnon was surprisingly funny.
She was
Kate McKinnon was surprisingly funny.
I don't usually.
She
find
usually is
her-
like hit or miss.
Right. I'm not usually a huge fan, but she was great in this movie. Her and Andy Samberg did awesome as a pair. They were fantastic together.
That's probably why it worked so well. Andy Samberg and her were bouncing off like each other really well. But she would come in and just be so funny. She plays that type of comedy super well, just random and just she'll say something that kind of matters, but then she'll just follow it up with like the most random and like out of nowhere joke of all time, and you're just like, okay, but that was kind of funny. It was all right. But yeah, she was surprisingly funny.
The poetic, and I'm going to label this as best that I can, there are spoilers ahead. The biggest spoiler of all spoilers for this movie is ahead. but the poetic ending of this movie was so good that me and Brett kind of just looked at each other after we were done and just laughed. Like it was so good. So the huge explosion of a fight starts with,
which was funny.
They have this
hilarious
gag that's going the whole time where it's supposed to be a cute thing that they do where Ivy will take a bite of something that has raspberries in it and he'll have an EpiPen right standing by ready to go.
Psychotic. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Not.
But
no, that's not what we do with EpiPens. That's not what they're there for. Like, you're supposed to go to the hospital after you get one, by the way. And so she'll make something intentionally with raspberries, eat it, and be like, oh, that was so good. Quick, stick me with the EpiPen. So they've been fighting and fighting and fighting. But he brings home dessert, and he's put raspberries in it. And he's signed up a new agreement where he gets the house, she gets to keep everything else, and he has her bite into it. And it's got raspberries in it. And she's having anaphylactic shock, and he's just sitting there waiting, and she, almost passes out before he sticks her, and she's signed it Zendaya. And then everything from there is just absolute chaos. She goes and gets a gun from earlier in the movie and starts shooting at him, thankfully with poor aim,
that was a funny scene too. Thank God that got paid off.
Hilarious.
That was funny.
It was super funny. And then they just go through... mildly destroying the house, throwing knives, throwing fruit, throwing all sorts of stuff at each other, before at the end of it, Benedict Cumberbatch goes to destroy her Julia Child stovetop with one of the grills. And then they finally agree that they've both been ridiculous, that they both love each other, that everything's going to be okay, and that they're going to give this marriage another shot. And the final shots of the movie is them saying, "Till death do us part," as gas is leaking out from the broken stove in the kitchen that they destroyed during their epic fight. Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman laying down, and Benedict saying, "Play our song and light the fire," and then the whole screen just goes white.
Oh my God.
It's poetic. It's hilarious. It was such a good end of the movie.
It's Fight Club-esque.
Dude, it was so good. It's also a little heartbreaking because they had just patched things up, but it's so fitting for the disaster of a marriage and story and chaos that their lives just were. But it was great.
I think the third act of the movie just basically explains what and describes what we were talking about in the beginning and why we love this movie so much. It takes that, for example, you could have gone the route of just doing, the happy ending, or you could have gone the route of, oh yeah, they ended up getting a divorce and they were happier without each other, and then you kind of end the movie there. But to keep the flow and the comedic style of the movie going, just like the dinner table, and make it about them, like that whole entire kind of like the last 20 minutes of them just fighting over the divorce, it kept the comedic style and it kept the serious sort of, yes, we are getting a divorce, and it kept that serious nature of it. It was a perfect blend of that, and the ending was shocking. And I was like, wait, what? Are they really about to show them the house? I thought they were going to show the house getting blown up. And then I would have turned to you and been like, if they would have blown up the house, I would have been like, oh my God. But the fact that they leave it up to interpretation, and obviously I think they die, but the fact that they do leave it up to interpretation is so good. The scene was great. The fact that Olivia Colman is shooting a gun at Benedict Cumberbatch and he's over here throwing oranges, and then a stove that she cares about from a famous chef, and he just starts bashing it in, and she's constantly just missing her gunshots. And the fact it's just a perfect ending to this. And that's what I loved about it the most. It was great acting, great comedy, and it was also thrilling. And at no point did I think, oh yeah, they're going to actually kill each other. But, their arguments and then the destruction of their relationship just ends up being the thing that kills both of them. And that was so good. And I feel that all the things that we saw, the little emotional moments that were building up to the third act of the movie, I thought they all got paid off, which I really appreciated. And it was so funny and it was so great. And I thought both Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch killed it in this movie. And the kids killed it. The side characters were funny. They didn't get in the way of the relationship and get in the way. They more or less like pushed it forward, being like, you guys are kind of terrible for each other right now. Like, you guys aren't having a good time with each other. And that forced them to have a conversation about, oh, are we having a terrible time with each other? And then Benedict Cumberbatch's ego would come out. And then Olivia Colman would be like, well, I'm providing everything for the relationship, so what are you doing? But no, I loved the ending. Me and you both walked out of there and were like, damn, like, I didn't think they were going to have an ending like that. But the most unexpected endings are always the best. They're always the best, in my opinion. When you take risk and you actually do something that, not many people are going to expect, I think that boded well for this movie. And I think people are going to like it when it comes out in streaming.
Well, and I like you said, it gives you a little bit of everything. It gives you those emotional moments that you want, characters being real with one another. It gives you that, laugh out loud comedy, the dark comedy, the silly comedy, the situational humor. It gives you the romantic moments. It gives you the gut-wrenching moments. It gives you the tense sort of, oh my gosh, just feel the tension kind of moments. It's got a little bit of everything. It really does. And they did such a good job. Oftentimes with movies like this, especially just run-of-the-mill rom-coms, my biggest complaint with them is, okay, so it was a decent story, the humor was mostly good, and the story is not, awful as in terms of their relationship, but usually there's a lot of plot holes you have to deal with. There's stuff that you've got to circumvent and go, well, they kind of ignored it, whatever. This didn't have it. They addressed everything.
Yeah.
Everything that they used to set up, they paid off. Everything that was mentioned in the movie was done intentionally. Every character development was meant to be paid off at some later point. It really was a fantastic story and extremely well portrayed by a great collective of actors. So, I mean, like I said, spoiler alert at the very beginning, but underrated movie of the summer, hands down. And
100%.
I think that's a good enough point. Brett, where's this landing on your score sheet?
I think I'm giving this an 8.5. I really enjoyed this. I think Benedict Cumberbatch is obviously one of the great actors of our generation, but Olivia Colman, she's a phenomenal actress. And she killed it. And both of them being, so good at what they do, I think that carries this movie a little bit. And the fact that they just focus on their relationship and how it dissolves and the side characters not getting in the way, the one-liners were funny, it was comedic, it was emotional, it made me feel everything. I really cared about the story. And yeah, I give this an 8.5. I love this, man. It was the most underrated movie. When we first saw the trailer, by the way, great trailer. The last 15 minutes of the movie was the trailer. Well, that's kind of a spoiler, but it's at the end of the podcast, so it's fine. But
yeah, we already
the last 15 minutes of the movie was like,
it's fine if you spoil it a little more
basically
now.
Literally, every time we talk so detailed about everything, but no, it was a great trailer. And the first time we saw the trailer, we were like, this movie's going to be mid, whatever. I enjoyed this movie. It was really good. It was brilliant. Both actors killed it. The side characters were not annoying. Kate McKinnon wasn't annoying. I was kind of worried about her being annoying. Andy Samberg killed it. The one-liners, had us rolling over laughing in the theater. And I was just interested in the story. It was really good.
Mine's going to be an 8.8. I've been waiting for a comedy like this. Don't get me wrong. I know I didn't do any official review for Naked Gun, and I can maybe retrospectively do one before the next Naked Gun comes out, because now that one's been successful, I'm sure they're going to do another Naked Gun. I'm sure they will. But the thing about the Naked Gun movies and other comedies like it that have come out recently is that there's not that depth to the story that you're looking for. There's not a lot of emotional weight that gets added to it. There's not a lot of things that you really care about going on with the characters. In this movie, you really care about all the characters. You're invested in what they're going through. And you brought into every single part of the story. Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman give performances of a lifetime. And we talked about it on the way out of the theater. It might be Benedict's best performance of the year as a standard. It might just be. Andy Samberg was really funny, and all the rest of the side characters, like you said, they don't get in the way. They do what they're supposed to do and they get out. And that's perfect. For a story like this, you want to feel a little bit of everything, and we got a little bit of everything. So it was really fantastic. Might be my favorite comedy of the entire summer.
100%. I totally agree. I've been asking for movies like this, give me a little bit of everything. You don't have to, put yourself in a box of, it has to be the funniest thing ever and like make a million jokes. You can just make a good story about two characters and then, take it and just stay consistent with it. It was a good, easy, consistent story. And that's what I've been wanting with like movies like this. I'm sure the budget was nothing. And, we'll see if it's going to be successful or not. But I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised because just by the cast alone, they're going to go watch the movie. They're going to be like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch in it? Why don't I take a watch? Boom. You watch it, you love it, and enjoy it. And if they keep on making movies like this, I think they're going to get the casual movie theater, like the casual audiences coming back to the movies. And
agreed. And
I love this movie. It was good.
The next one we're waiting on, and we've seen the trailer twice now, and we'll see it 18 or 20 more times before the movie actually comes out. And we are going to see it. But McKenna Grace in Forgetting You with Franco.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a sucker for a good romantic movie.
I'm so excited. It looks so good. And this is the kind of romance movie I've been waiting for them to make for years and years and years and years. It looks so good. It looks like this without the humor, and that's fine. It looks like it should be a moving story, great characters, great story, a lot of emotional depth. I'm excited. Keep making movies like this. We're going to keep going to see them whether they're good or not. But we prefer bangers, so keep them coming, please.
Keep them coming. Overall, great time at the movies. Go see it. I'm sure it's going to cost you nothing if you go see it on Wednesday and it's 50% off, or if you have an AMC Stubs A-list membership, you're going to basically go see it like twice, in my opinion.
AMC sponsor
just a good time at the movies. Please. Gavin needs his snacks and food.
I do need my snacks
from
and
AMC.
food. Just a year-long supply
if you could make
pizza.
me a PB&J,
yeah.
If you could make me a PB&J and give me a coffee with a couple of bananas, that'd be great too.
Perfect.
That'd be awesome.
Hit us up, AMC. Let us know.
Great time. And now, honestly, whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna date this, but now we're gonna talk about The Conjuring, and it's gonna be great. But it'll be funny. But this was a good time at the movies. Go see the movie. If it comes out on TV, go see it on TV. It's a great time. We'll see you next time, lads.